Hello again, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nuri and I'm a freelance director, cinematographer. That was my phone going off, always mute notifications, not good. My name is Nuri and I'm a freelance director, cinematographer based out of Detroit, Michigan, originally from London. And now I have decided to do something absolutely crazy. I have decided that I am good enough to break down cinematography. This is hopefully part of a new series where I'll be looking at various shows and movies and breaking down cinematography. I would like to preface this very clearly by saying I am not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. These shows like Peaky Blinders were shot by cinematographers who are far more well versed in the craft than I am. But hopefully what I'm going to be doing is looking at this as a student and letting you know what I noticed from the cinematography and the lighting particularly. And hopefully together we'll pick up a few lessons along the way that we can learn and use in our own craft, hopefully. Before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'll be hopefully posting a new video every Monday, so subscribe. Alright, so first things first, he enters this place. And one thing I love about Peaky Blinders is because it's set in the 20s, 30s and 40s. It's set at a time, one where we have the Great Depression. So the show's cinematography gives off these vibes of darkness. And of course, the show is set during a time where we don't have the kind of lighting that we have now. A lot of the rooms are lit by candlelight and daylight outside, as we'll see right now. So firstly, Tommy enters this room. As we can see, there are basically four sources of light. Firstly, they put like some sort of light over here to show, I guess, you know, the light coming from outside. Secondly, we have this lamp over here, which is the motivated lighting that is coming at Tommy from this angle over here. And as you can see, it's very dark. Darkness over here, darkness over here, darkness over here, all this negative fill, because the show is set during a time where rooms would be very dark, as you can see. And one thing I love about this show is they're not afraid to use haze at all. They haze everywhere, as you can see here. Obviously, these guys are smoking, but there's haze here, you can see it. And essentially, this really layers the image. Obviously, every image that we film, we're trying to give the impression of a 3D image based off a 2D image. So this is very important. As you can see, obviously, over here, there's an incredible depth to the image. We're looking at a corner of the room, and we're tilted somewhat. You have motivated lighting coming in from the outside over here. They've obviously put some sort of light over here, and the lighting is coming in over here and shining on these fellas' faces over here. They obviously have a big source of lighting over here that's giving that impression. And then we have these lamps over here, which are also providing a bit of light. One secret to movies and TV shows is they love lamps in the shot, as it gives some sort of variety to the color of lighting. All right, Tommy, let's see where you're going. So again, as we can see over here, there are no windows close to these subjects. We have the window over here, so they've shone a light this way just to kind of give the impression that there's light coming in from the outside. And over here we have these lamps, which are giving the impression of lighting these guys' faces. You can actually see over here, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the source of lighting that's actually lighting their faces. So they probably have some sort of lighting, overhead lighting, let's say over here perhaps, which is shining down on this guy's face, over here. I'm wondering if they have some sort of negative fill hiding behind this object over here, which is giving darkness to this guy's face. And they have some sort of light shining, I want to say down here, or perhaps this way, which is essentially, you know, bouncing that way, giving off the impression that there's light coming in from there. So even though the shot is, you know, at first glance somewhat simple, you have all these layers of light that are all motivated and giving the impression that these guys are lit, and the back door over there is lit by natural lights and these lamps over here. Here we have Tommy sitting down over here at this bar. Again, you have these lamps over here and you have this lamp over here, and that is essentially giving the impression that he's going to be somewhat lit by these lamps. They obviously have some sort of light over here that's bouncing off his face over here. One thing I love about this show, you might not be so apparent right here, but because they're always wearing these hats, they always try and, you know, make the top of their faces very dark, and that is essentially, you know, showing the villainy of these characters, that their faces are always somewhat covered by darkness. Again, a lot of depth to this image over here. The camera's been placed very close to the table, so you can see the table kind of coming at the camera like this. You know, our character Tommy is sitting over here. We have a lot of sources of light here. We have all these lamps over here that are giving the impression of lighting his face over here. And then you have the daylight coming in through the window over there. And you have this consistent light that's coming in over here, which is kind of backlighting him over here, which is good too. I absolutely love the way these shots are laid with lighting. They've really put a lot of thought, obviously, into not only lighting this show, but also making sure that the light looks like it's coming in through natural means. And as you can tell, there's a lot of haze around all over here and here, and that obviously gives a lot of layer to the image, which is good, but also really emphasizes the fact that this is set during the 30s, during the Depression, and gives the image a kind of uncleanliness that we would expect from that time period if we're watching a show about it. I love the way Steve Knight really jars us by going into these close-ups and doing those fast pans like those, looking into the camera. This shot I absolutely love as well. You know, up to now in this scene, the shots have been very simple, very straightforward, very wide as well, but we're going in nice and close, nice and tight. I mentioned before, and this is a prime example of how the caps of these characters are an excuse to give a lot of darkness to his face above his nose, which is essentially, you know, his soul, right? His eyes and everything you want to see about a person, showing that he's hiding from the world, really. You know, there's obviously a lot of soft light coming in this way. His bottom half is lit, which is good. But the angle of the shot as well is absolutely wonderful. It's angled somewhat down, which is an indication that he's about to get into some trouble. So we fast forwarded quite a bit, but I love this. They use this a few times in season 6. You know, the fact that the shot itself is tilted, just absolutely wonderful. It shows, you know, that Tommy's world is almost upside down. And it's not as straightforward as you want it to be, and it shows obviously that there's about to be some sort of altercation. Again, phenomenal shot here, you know, angled down. You can see the light coming in from, I guess, over here and bouncing on his face. A lot more darker as well. The director Steve Knight doesn't want us to know what he's thinking, or, you know, how he looks in his eyes, because at this point he's become a man who we expect to do very dangerous things, and we don't want to know what he's going to do next. Alright, so that was just a few looks at some shots of Peaky Blinders. Again, I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I'm just kind of showing, you know, what I see out of the image, but it shows you the level of detail that goes into creating these images. There's obviously a lot to be said about the camera work, about those quick cuts, but hopefully you learn something. And, you know, I will definitely say that I'm a big believer in watching a lot of film and TV and documentaries and looking at how they're shot. There's obviously a lot of things we can learn to the art on YouTube, but really, I really emphasize the point always that the biggest source of education are these films and TV shows and documentaries that are professionally shot. And one thing I'm always obsessed with doing is trying to replicate the philosophy of the lighting and cinematography that I see in shows and TVs in my own work. Now, again, I'm emphasizing this point. I don't claim to be anywhere near as good as the cinematographers that make shows like these, but through education and emulation, ultimately we can make our way there. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. I'll be doing a few more of these videos hopefully over the next few weeks, and look forward to the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.